When Citizen TV shared this promo video about Morara's interview yesterday night, the Statehouse mandarins were really in panic.
Watu wa Kenya hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Mimi nimerudi hapa Citizen. Tayari nilikusha weka mpango na sasa nimerudi hapa. Mimi nitazungumza na huyu mjumbe wenu Bwana Jeff ili hawa mama mboga waweze kusaidika. Ni kweli si kweli? Salale.
Oh yes, he can imitate the president, but he can also put the president in check. That's right, he's going around the country exposing various projects that are non-starters. His name, Morara Keaso. He's a trained lawyer, he's got all his facts, and I tell you, his videos have been going viral. If it's Wednesday, you know it's all about those three letters on the keyboard that follow each other. JKL. Tonight, it's that young man there on the screen. He is bold, he is fearless, he is Gen Z. Are you listening? Start tweeting at Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JK Live.
Now, so this Morara interview has elicited reactions in social media, and I want to look at why the Statehouse had to storm Citizen to make that call about Morara interview. And in some sense, they really had some demands to Citizen TV on that interview. Ladies and gentlemen, before we do that, I want to say thank you very much for supporting this channel. Friday, we're shooting this video at 6:30 a.m. This is the last day of our Kilifi mission. We'll be doing food donation and the rest of activities in the afternoon. One of the deficits I'm really struggling with is to ensure that we can actually buy mattresses for all of them. So probably now just a deficit, I think around 10,000. We will be able to finish this project. We'll be doing it from the afternoon. We are supporting these 15 elderly women somewhere in Magarini, Kilifi County, intervention on shelter and some food distribution. So I want to say thank you very much for those who have contributed. I know I had some that were telling me, Kevin, I'll contribute by Friday. Yes, we will just end it by today. And I just want to ask those who have already replied that they're going to send. It's still really in order, and by afternoon, I think around 2, we shall start the process. Then I'll give you a feedback about all of that. So kindly let's support, and thank you very much for it. This has been a very emotive one for me, and I know people who are members of this channel really understand where we're coming from. It's actually our 15th project since 2020. Yes, it's our 15th. Since 2020, and many of us really understand where we are coming from and where we are actually heading. And it's the first one in Mombasa. It is the second granny care. This is the second project after Kano. We did granny care. After this, in the next one we are going to do in another county. And our intervention borders shelter, and apart from shelter, we also do some food. And by yesterday, we were pushing social protection so that they can also be in that program. I realized some of them were really not part of that program. Now, we were being supported by a military officer who fell ill and who has not been able to support them for 6 months, and that is why now we chipped in. And even in your community, if you're doing something, you run a children's home for the elderly, or you're doing something for the elderly and you want us to inject, that's our intervention now, because we still don't have a grassroots network and a full-fledged program. So we work with those who are already on ground doing something. We work with you so that we can also support the community. But I believe as the year goes, we are establishing Granny Care as a full independent program under Bold Charity Network. Now, Morara spoke about stalled projects and has been posting in his social media handles about projects that were initiated all over the country, but the government has been mum. They've not been responding about these reports. And if you check social media, and I think even this channel have been consistently amplifying what Morara has been sharing across the country. But the Statehouse team have never been responding. So I was expecting that yesterday, instead of being jittery about Morara saying the president called him or not, because when Morara made a statement about the calls that the president's team made to him, the State House spokesperson, Hussein Mohamed, became more jittery, then made a call to Citizen TV and was now trying to school all the journalists in the newsroom about how that interview ought to have been done.
Very
Jittery.
Jittery, that's the word, very jittery.
Yeah.
And State House has called you. You've had calls from the president.
Yeah.
Himself.
Initially, I had calls from people around the president. Then eventually, I got a call from the president. I spoke to him very respectfully because he's our president and he has been given that mandate by the people. And whatever I was offered, I refused. I was offered a state position. Serikali ni kubwa. Come we find you something. But I believe it's overcrowded over there. There are enough people over there. And being a brilliant person and a person of integrity, I believe that if I go into government, I'm going there to be corrupt because there's too much demand for corruption. There's too much demand for you to steal money and give to certain people. So for that reason, I'll not be comfortable. I'll be depressed working there. I'd rather stay at my furniture shop and do my business. Truthfully speaking.
Ukakata.
Yeah.
Ukakata.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, I wasn't following, but I was told about this. I'm just shocked at what the gentleman, Morara, is saying. I wonder why he would lie on national TV that the president called him. I mean, it's ridiculous that I have to respond to this, but let me do it because you, Jeff, you're my friend. We work together, but you let it happen on TV as well, on national TV. So, for the record, such a call never happened. It's a figment of his imagination. But what is more shocking, Jeff, is that you can allow anyone to come on TV and tell you such a thing without demanding any proof or substantiation, and you just buy it, hook, line, and sinker. I mean, all you should have done, at the very least, is say that that is, or those are his words, and it's an alleged claim from him, not just to accept and say that, okay, the president called him. Anybody can say that. Many people say that.
So far, my record speaks for myself. Everything that I've told Kenyans has turned out to be truthful, and even him, Hussein Mohamed, has not been able to controvert any of the projects that I have visited in the 19 counties.
But regarding the call from the president,
regarding the call from the president, I wonder why Hussein purports to know who the president calls and who he doesn't call. I have the number of the president here. I'd like her to call the president and ask him, because Hussein wouldn't know.
Yes.
Hold on, Hussein.
Yes, this is ridiculous. No, I'm not going to engage in this. This is ridiculous. It's very simple.
This is the number of the president.
He's saying I'm telling you nothing, no such thing happened.
Yeah.
Let him substantiate it. Let's not do a back and forth here. It's not worth it. I've said Morara and team and any other Kenyan can hold the government accountable, but do it truthfully. I'm not going to engage in a back and forth about whether the president called him. I'm telling you, the president did not call him. I work for the president. It's very simple. Let Morara substantiate. There are many ways to do that.
He's actually wrong if you ask me. And there is a reason why I don't agree with him. So many politicians have been appearing in TV stations and they've been saying, Uhuru, I've talked to Uhuru, I've talked to the president, and I've talked to so-and-so. It is not really, it is not objective, and it's unethical for Morara to start showing us call logs of the president. That is not what the ethics is. And of course, president can make, how many calls do president make in a day that the Hussein Mohamed doesn't even know? So that's number two. It's not really that Hussein Mohamed is the person that holds president's phone all over. So the issue of call, for me, it's a non-issue. As whether the president called or not, it's actually a non-issue. The issue is about the things that had been raised. Instead of struggling to confirm whether it is true or false that President called Morara or not, we should be struggling to confirm whether the projects that Morara had been exposing that are incomplete, installed, and about false promises, whether that is true or false. So I found that not in order. And again, they're saying that that Jeff needed to make a disclaimer there that, you know, those are his opinions. You know, it is not such a sensitive matter when someone says the president called me. What is so unique about it? What is the threat about it? Can that cause some protest somewhere? Can that compromise the security of the country? No. So I'm just wondering why citizens had to disassociate with what Morara is saying, because it's not something very, you know, I'm not seeing the big deal in it. Of course, sometimes disassociate when someone is making sensational claims, attacking the president, and, you know, then you will say those are his opinions, because it also affects the image of the institution. But I don't really buy that, because it was not something that is going to change anything. In fact, that was not even the center of discussion. What Morara was just trying to explain is that government knows of what he's been talking about. And so, but I know there are two reasons why they made that call. The Statehouse was so uncomfortable with Citizen TV because of two consecutive interviews. Now, that was JKL on Wednesday. On Tuesday, Meg Whitman was in the same Citizen and was injecting. So for the 2 consecutive days, the Citizen TV have been conducted 2 interviews, and all those who were interviewed were telling off the president about the conduct of government. Now, that is where the Statehouse team had a challenge. That's where they had a problem. The problem was not about someone being called or not. So they realized that Citizen is already on a mission, and the way the Citizen has packaged that interview, Amanda Uko aka mimic the way the president talks and the dressing and all that. So they realized that that Morara was going to get the limelight alone. Then the second thing, why they actually made that call about the interview, is to discredit, or they wanted to show the country that, you know, Citizen TV is on a mission, or rather, you know, so and so is lying, is also lying, and so Kenyans should not believe things he's been saying. So it was part of, you know, this person is saying president called him. I am from Statehouse, I'm saying the president didn't call. So probably the country needs to push that guy away, shove that guy away, because he cannot substantiate. And again, I think they wanted to show that the president is angry, and that's why they came there very emotional, that the president is very angry about this Morara. So that is, to me, the 3 reasons why that phone call was made. Now, why are they pulling that emotional card against Morara? I want to explain that. There's some 4 factors on table here. Number 1, Hussein Mohamed was pulling that emotional confrontation as an intimidation tactic. They wanted to intimidate that guy. And you know, I've always had some friends in government who say that sometimes things happen not because the president wants, or not even the president has ordered, but because there are oligarchs who want to make the president happy. They believe that, now you look at what has happened, some fellows have seen pro-government bloggers now attacking Morara. In fact, it was just initiation, that confrontation was just to initiate attacks on Morara. From after Hussein Mohamed called, pro-government bloggers went to their social media handles and have been attacking Morara. So that was supposed to trend and discredit him. In fact, an intimidation, you'll see now someone will now, if they were trailing, they'll now start to trail him there and there, so that they find a way they can get him. And in fact, what puzzles is the way he's getting that traction. Someone was just whispering that probably he didn't even make his way out of Citizen, because he knew that from that maybe the state agencies will start pursuing him. He said the way he's been dodging, they've been trying to trail and arrest him here and there, but it has not been very easy. So I think they were pulling an intimidation tactic to intimidate him into silence, tell him the president doesn't like the fact that you're saying this about him. But the parting shot from that citizen will tell you that he's unbowed, by the way.
Let's not bring this amorphous conversation that the deputy president had no real influence in the government. The deputy president was the deputy president constitutionally. You cannot say government stopped running because the deputy president was in any disagreement with any politician. Government projects were still running in every ministry. We just have a president that lies. He cannot escape any opportunity to lie to Kenyans. Recently, there was an opportunity to lie about university funding, and he could not let the minister lie. He had to take it up for himself and lie and say that he received a HELB loan in 1987 when actually HELB itself was constituted in the 1990s. He just can't help it. The president's word should mean something to the people of Kenya. The president's word should mean something. It should be valuable. When the president tells you, I will do, it should be law. But now we have a president who just promises and promises and promises, but he has no intention of doing it. Just playing politics throughout, and the politics of dishonesty. This is a one-term president. We can't have this. If he doesn't resign before 2027, then he's a one-term president because he's not going to win that election in 2027. And to our president, God has given you a chance to lead this nation. You're already a billionaire, no secret. There is nothing more that money can do for you. Money has already made you president. There is nothing above this. Please, if you really care about corruption, begin with yourself. Call yourself into a meeting and ask yourself, would you like to continue being a president that leads in corruption or that leads in development? And as a president, your word should mean something. Don't lie at every opportunity. You are breaking our hearts, you are disappointing us, you are depressing us. Because every time we wake up and remember that you are the president, we are traumatized. You need to remember that you are leading people, not graves. Care about us. Care about the children of Kenya. Do not be very happy to transport and export your most energetic and brilliant labor of the youth of Kenya to go build other countries just because you've built a very corrupt system that does not create opportunities for them. Mr. President, I want to assure you that the silence that you feel today is not peace. It is the silence before a storm.
If you look at that parting shot was telling the president you're already a billionaire, what are you looking for? And you should just fix the country. The other second thing, I think it was a diversionary tactic to counter the facts. And I think I'd mentioned this. We don't need to, instead of Statehouse proving whether the president called or not, that does not make a bigger impact. If the Statehouse wanted to do something better and be useful to this context, to this discourse, they would have hijacked that interview and asked Jeff Kenyange, you've invited Morara Keaso about this. Can you also invite me, one of the government person? Or even if that is not granted because of the structure of the show that had been done by the producers, they would have just called and said, Morara Keaso, you've been talking about project XYZ, you showed the country about this XYZ, this is why these projects have not been done, and probably this is why you are lying. It's more better to convince the country about ghost projects than interrupting a very interesting interview to try to tell us that president did not call so and so. That does not change anything. Even Raila Odinga said that Uhuru called him to call Ruto. Why didn't we ever ask Raila? Why didn't Citizen air that story? In fact, they aired it live. They did a story about it. Now, why didn't we ever ask Uhuru Kenyatta? Why didn't Uhuru Kenyatta ever ask Raila to prove? So how is it supposed to be proved? And even if called or not, I know they are a bit uncomfortable by the fact that when Morara says the president called me, Morara is telling the country that these people knows what I'm doing and they're uncomfortable with me. And of course, I don't know, it's not new for people to say the president called and they're giving offers. If all of us, if all the bloggers would come out and say, why so-and-so called me and demanded this, it's a tactic all over. It's a tactic. I think most of us have received more than 5 calls from people asking you, you know, you need to do this. Let's meet, have coffee. Let's discuss this. But you just know that the whole thing is about an offer on table. So, and offers are there. We've seen journalists being taken from the newsroom. We've seen activists crossing over and joining government. We've seen analysts now changing tones. So it's not something out of the ordinary. I'm just wondering whether the Hussein Mohamed want us to think like you cannot reduce yourself to an just trivializing matters instead of being objective. And again, I think the State House are seeing that Keaso's national profile is actually bulging, and the way he's taking Ruto head on, he's actually building his national profile, and within no time there will be an axis around Keaso. And I think State House were uncomfortable that the bench did not have anyone pro-government. So they decided, hakuna mtu ameitwa hapo kuhusu serikali ambaye anaweza ongelea. So there is no balance of opinions. And that is why I realized they actually came through with that statement. Thank you, guys. So, and again, thank you very much. We are finishing this on this Friday. So in the evening, after we do the exercise, we'll be able to give us a full report. So keep it here. And thank you very much. The deficit, I think, is only around 10,000. I believe that with that, we shall have been able to, I told you, we will manage this mission. I promised you we'll manage. Yeah. Very technical and, of course, challenging. Kuenda kwa mtaa, you know. Yeah, but I love it. That is what really gives you the feel. And thank you very much for Team Coast, Team Mombasa, Team Kilifi. Oh, I've got a good feedback from Kilifi. Team Kilifi, the disaster team, a couple of NGOs working around this place that we've also been sharing, and they're about comparing notes about how some of these programs can be done, and new programs that we can also float on this area. I'm just so grateful for the rest of the country, the international community. You've been amazing. I may not mention all of you, but you've been amazing. As we really close this project, I believe that we really have made a point. And this is a noble cause. Thank you.